Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Joe and this is Vox Pictoria. Thanks for taking time out of your day or out of your evening to take a look at this video. As you can see from the thumbnail, the topic is going to be how to offend somebody and the consequences. So as I'm beginning this channel, there is a sort of a swirl of emotion that's going on, and I came upon this topic as something that I wanted to talk about early on. Yes, it will help me, but I also want to wrap this up in a way that would help you if you're watching and maybe help the world. And I think if we can do that, that's really going to be awesome. So I'm not exactly sure if I need to tell you in detail or give you instructions on how to offend people. I think as human beings, if you've been on the planet for a while, it's pretty obvious that offending people is not that difficult. And it's really a two-way street. It depends on the sensitivity of the person, and it depends on what you say or what you do to offend them, and whether you have knowledge beforehand of whether or not that's going to offend someone. But in my younger days, I certainly offended a lot of people. Not an entire class of people or entire group of people, but sort of people who were around me. And why did that happen? If I look back on it, I was young, I was immature, I was trying to be funny at times, and that really backfired, not 100% of the time, but in some cases that did. So why is it important now at this point to be conscious of what we're doing and what we're saying, and how can that help the world, or how can that hurt the world, and how can that help you? So this very simple concept of how to offend people is something that's right underneath our noses all the time, that we can use to make our lives much better. The benefits and the payoffs of just being a little bit more conscious of what you're saying and what you're doing go a long way. So what I'm about to say next may actually offend people, and it's not my intention to do that, but we are living in a bit of a hypersensitive time now, where as a world, as a civilization, we are reevaluating what offends us and what steps to take if we get offended. So I'm hoping to take a little bit of an angle on that and maybe help the situation. When I grew up, I honestly feel that we were raised in a way to help us understand that, sticks and stones break bones, but words will never hurt me. That was a common sort of a nursery rhyme that everybody knew. And the message under there was to, know yourself. And if somebody's saying something or doing something to you or aimed at you, ask yourself, is that really true? In other words, if somebody were to say something to me that were derogatory or maybe intended or unintended to offend me, my default position, the first thing I gravitate to, would not be anger. It would be, let me evaluate that. Let me find out what this person is actually saying. Let me listen to it, and let me ask myself, is that true? Am I that thing? Am I that label? Am I that way that they are projecting onto me? And in most cases, as I went through my teens and my 20s and my 30s, I realized, no, I may be offended by that, but I'm not offended to the point where I would actually take action against it in a way that would express anger or pushback. And there are a lot of reasons why you wouldn't want to do that. Being drawn into an argument, being drawn into a fight is oftentimes a losing battle. So you want to be careful about that, about those triggers that might give somebody the advantage over you. So that's one way of thinking about it. There are a couple of other things that I've been considering lately, and I wanted to share those with you. They are that if somebody does something or says something that offends me, they may be doing that in a way that they're not conscious of doing that. They might not be aware that they're actually offending me. If that's the case, then I really need to factor that in. If there's an opportunity to help that person understand in a different way, then that might help them understand that, what they said was wrong or not accurate. But the point here is that being offended can so easily lead to anger. And anger can lead to violence, and violence is really something that we don't need more of in the world. So on a very, very small level, each one of us can take a look at one of the things or many of the things that are coming at us in the form of, hey, that pissed me off, or I'm offended by that, or that ruffled my feathers. If you can stop in that moment and say, wait, where's that coming from? And track down the origins of that, you might realize that you've accidentally jumped to a place in your mind that perhaps you shouldn't have. And that's wasted energy for you. So one of the things I'm hoping to do with this channel is to kind of flip that around, where you're a little bit more open-minded, I'm a little bit more open-minded and open-hearted by some of the things that come at us all day long, every day. And as I mentioned a moment ago, if you look at the percentage of things that are coming at us that might offend us, much of it's accidental. It could be because someone is ignorant to a culture, or someone is ignorant to your situation. And I don't mean to use ignorant as a negative word here. Again, I don't want to offend anyone. But you can be the smarter one in the room. So another reason why I want to talk about this topic of offending people is that in the past, I certainly have offended a number of people. Not any class of people or any broad group of people, but with my words and my actions, I know for a fact that I've pissed people off. And I did it because I was unaware of the consequences. I was unaware of the power of offending somebody. If I was trying to be funny or trying to be brash, and my mouth got in the way, that's really something that at this point in my life, I've realized if I could go back in time, I would have been more mature about those things. So, the other part of this, offending someone can be a really complicated process, because there are two or more outcomes that can travel through time. You may offend someone in your life and decades might pass. And you may go through your life thinking, I really shouldn't have done that. But that person is gone, they're living in a place where you no longer have contact with them. So if you eventually get to a place where you say, if I ever meet that person again, I would apologize for that. So there's this initial sort of impact of having some kind of energy that would result in offending someone. And that goes off and it does its work. But then time may pass and there's this other piece of it, because the person who was offended is carrying that. They're still angry. They're still hurt. And you, if you have a conscious, if you have a different kind of sensitivity, which is, being aware of what your actions have done, you may be carrying for decades this guilt. It's a form of guilt. And you're hoping that you get the opportunity to maybe apologize and make things right. So why make things right? Why care? Why apologize? Well, it may not seem a lot, because I think a lot of people who are offended by things do a number of different things. They might protest, they might act out, or they may carry that inside them in silence, and that affects them in a negative way. So it can be a wonderful gift to give someone an apology, and to just acknowledge the fact that you did, in fact, offend someone at some point in your life. Much of it can be helped, but some of it can't be helped. I mean, human beings aren't perfect. We make mistakes. We say things. We do things. Maybe someone's drinking and they say something, which is a whole other category. But I'm talking about being conscious, being awake, and being sober, and through something inside you, you offend someone. I think it's also easier to offend strangers than maybe someone you live with, although perhaps it is easy to offend people you live with. So what I'm saying is that for strangers that you don't know, they could be coming from a different culture, they could be having a different set of circumstances. You should be mindful of what you're saying and what you're doing. That's a human being, right? Another way of looking at it is we're always so happy to see a brand new baby come into the world. Everybody is. But then that person grows up into an adult, and for some reason we get to the point where, well, I may say something or do something, but that's too bad, right? They just have to live with that, get out of my way. But I think that if you're not in charge of a government, and if you're not in charge of a large weapons system, and you're not at the forefront of war, what you can do on a regular basis is be conscious of whether or not you're purposely or accidentally offending people. We see this all the time in driving, in traffic. For some reason, and there's been a lot said about it, that when we get behind the wheel of a car, it has escalated to the point where people are getting killed, which is completely unacceptable. But the various levels leading up to that, in my opinion, can always start with being insensitive and offending people, right? It's far better to just be the adult and let that person go, or not get into an argument. You get to go home with your family, and they get to go home with their family. And this sort of ongoing, outward bound, never-ending work of the offense just carries on, in conjunction with, again, if you have a conscience, if you have compassion, you would be carrying that as well. So this topic is complex, and I know that thinking about it has helped me a lot. So I wanted to offer that to you and see if I could help you in some way. I haven't really scripted this out because it's kind of a jumble in my mind, but the main point is that being courteous to people really won't hurt you. You may actually be winning someone over in that moment where you think, I'm tired, I'm aggravated, I'm hungry, I want this person to go away. But if you're able to stop in that moment and just be patient for a moment and listen to them and give them whatever it is they want, then they're going to go away happy, versus really stepping in poo and kind of being rough with them or short with them or offending them. Then they go off and they're not happy, and you're not happy either. So I think when we think about things and thinking about how we can be helping the world as an army of one, there's a lot you can do. And it's an effort to be, present in that moment where you're sort of strategizing, like, okay, I don't want to piss this person off. This is a human being. You know, they may have family like I have family. You know, they may go home and say, you know, I ran into this guy who really pissed me off. Or they bring that into their house. So this act of thinking through the opportunities we have to offend people and not taking those opportunities, I think would do everyone a great service at this time. Because what I think needs to happen, and it's never a bad thing, is we kind of need to reboot ourselves as people. We need to reboot ourselves as a civilization. We need to reconsider things, and we need to get back to fundamental, you know, respect human life, respect people. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying because I put this video out that I'm not going to have problems with this. As I say, the reason I'm putting this video out is because I'm an offender. I have offended people in the past. So here, for anyone who's watching this, who knows me, who know me from the past, if you come across this video and I have somehow offended you in the past, you know who you are. There's a whole handful of people who I interacted with back in my 20s and 30s. I'm sorry. I really am. I would not do that to you now, and I wish you peace, and I hope everything's okay with you, and I hope that you can open your heart and consider that we have both lived long enough to hear me apologize for offending you. So, all right, that goes out into the world. There it goes. I'm at peace with that. Part of what I want to do with this channel is to offer things that will help people immediately, right? So if you're listening to this video and you're still listening to the video, hopefully you got something out of it and it helps, and it might help you reconsider things. And if it goes out into the world and it stops a fist fight, or it stops a stabbing, or it stops a gunfight, that's great. That's great. We save people, because there's this weird sort of veil that comes over me when I'm in this place where I tend to offend people, where you know, it's just that I'm tired, or I'm hungry, or I'm blocked by some other thing that results in me lashing out, and that's not okay. All right, well, channel update. I want to thank Think Media. They've been helping me put these YouTube videos together. If you have not heard of Think Media, check them out on YouTube. They helped me with this microphone. I had to buy a dongle, which I can't show you because it's plugged in. But anyway, thanks to Think Media for all the help. I'm getting better at these videos, and I'm grateful to you for tuning in. If you've watched this long, help me out. Click the like, click the subscribe, and be good to yourself, be good to other people, look for opportunities to help the world. And I'll get going on this video, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.